He wasn't broke. He was lying to me for 10 years. And I only found out because his wife couldn't stay silent anymore. My name is Daniel Carter. I'm 32 years old.
And I spent a decade believing I was the only thing keeping my brother alive. The message came in at 2:14 a.m. I remember the exact time because I hadn't been sleeping well for weeks. Work stress, bills, life just stacking up in that quiet, suffocating way it does when you're trying to be strong for everyone else. My phone lit up beside me. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. But something about the timing, that gut feeling, made me pick it up. Daniel, this is Lisa, Mark's wife. I'm sorry for messaging you like this, but you need to stop sending him money. I sat up slowly. My heart didn't race at first. It just dropped, like something inside me already knew. I stared at the screen, reading it again. Then again. Stop sending him money. I typed back. What are you talking about? He needs it. 3 dots appeared instantly. Then disappeared. Then came back. No, he doesn't. I frowned, rubbing my face, trying to wake myself up properly. Maybe I was still half asleep. Maybe this was some misunderstanding. He told me everything, I replied. I know about the debts, the loans. I'm just helping him get back on his feet. There was a long pause. So long I thought maybe she regretted texting me. Then my phone buzzed again. He paid those off years ago. My chest tightened. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it made no sense. That's what people do when reality cracks a little. You laugh. What? I typed. Another pause. Then, Daniel, I didn't want to be the one to tell you this, but he's been lying to you for a long time. My fingers hovered over the screen. Suddenly my room felt different. Colder. Quieter. Like everything was waiting for me to catch up. No, I whispered under my breath. Because it couldn't be. Not Mark. Not my older brother. Not the guy who practically raised me when our dad walked out. Not the one who used to split his last meal with me when we were kids. Not him. You're mistaken, I typed slower this time. He sends me updates, I've seen the payments, I've helped him through everything. 3 dots again. This time they didn't disappear. Those updates, he edits them. The debts were cleared almost 6 years ago. Daniel, he's been using your money for something else. My stomach twisted. Hard. I stood up without realizing it, pacing my room, running my hand through my hair. No, I said out loud again. No, that's not possible. But something inside me, something small and quiet, had already started connecting dots I didn't want to see. Late night calls. Urgency. Excuses that always felt just believable enough. Car broke down again. Loan interest increased. I'm behind this month, I just need a little help. And every time, I sent money. No hesitation. Because that's what family does. Right. Then where is it going? I finally typed. The reply came instantly this time. I think you already know. My breath caught. And for the first time, I didn't reply. Because I did know. Or at least, I was starting to. And I hated myself for it. Memories started creeping in. Little things I had ignored. Like the time I visited him 2 years ago. He had a new watch. Expensive. I noticed it. Asked about it. He laughed it off. Said it was fake. I believed him. Or the time he said he couldn't afford rent. But somehow always had the newest phone. I told myself it was a gift. A trade. Something. Anything but the truth. Daniel, another message came. I'm not trying to hurt you. I can't keep watching this happen. I swallowed hard. What is he spending it on? This time, the pause was longer than all the others combined. And when her reply came, everything changed. Gambling and other things. My chest felt like it got hit. Gambling. I leaned against the wall, sliding down slowly until I was sitting on the floor. No. Not Mark. Not him. But then again. The signs were always there, weren't they? I just chose not to see them. Because it was easier to believe in the version of him I grew up with. Not the one he became. How long? I asked. About 8 years, she replied. 8 years. I closed my eyes. 8 years of sacrifice. 8 years of late nights, skipped vacations, saying no to myself so I could say yes to him. 8 years of believing I was helping my brother survive, when I was actually feeding the thing destroying him. My hands started shaking, not from sadness, from anger, a slow, rising anger that burned deeper the more I thought about it. "Why are you telling me now?" I asked. Her answer came quietly. "Because he just lost everything tonight." I opened my eyes. "What do you mean everything?" Another pause. And then, "The house, the savings, everything I had, he lost it all. And now he's planning to call you in the morning." I felt something snap inside me. Not loudly, not dramatically, just clean, like a line being crossed. I stared at my phone, waiting, almost hoping she'd say she was lying, that this was some misunderstanding. But deep down, I knew. "Don't send him anything," she added. I looked at the clock. 2:47 a.m. In a few hours, my phone would ring. And for the first time in 10 years, I didn't know if I was going to answer, or if I even recognized the man on the other end anymore. And the worst part, I wasn't sure which hurt more. The fact that he lied to me, or the fact that I let him. I didn't sleep after that, not even for a minute. I just sat there on the floor, back against the wall, staring at my phone like it was going to take everything back, like another message would come in saying it was all a mistake. It didn't. Instead, the silence stretched, heavy, suffocating. Every memory I had of Mark started replaying in a different light. Not the brother who carried me on his shoulders, not the guy who taught me how to throw a punch or fix a leaking pipe, but the man who called me at 1 a.m. sounding desperate, who knew exactly what to say to make me open my banking app without thinking twice. And the worst part, he always sounded real. That's what messed me up the most. He never sounded like he was lying. He sounded scared. I checked my transaction history. I don't know why I did that to myself. Maybe I needed to see it. Maybe I needed the pain to feel real. Month after month, transfer after transfer, some small, some huge, some labeled loan help, others just blank because I didn't even bother explaining it to myself anymore. I scrolled back further. Years. Actual years. My chest tightened as the total built in my head. It wasn't just help. It wasn't just support. It was everything. Vacations I never took. A car I never bought. A life I kept putting on hold. All of it gone. For him. And suddenly Lisa's words hit harder. "He's planning to call you in the morning." I looked at the time again. 4:11 a.m. Still hours to go. And for the first time, I didn't feel worried about him. I felt something else, something colder. I stood up slowly, my legs stiff, and walked to the kitchen. Poured myself a glass of water. My hands were steady now. Too steady. Like my body had already made a decision, my mind was still catching up to. I didn't text Lisa again. There was nothing left to say. Because whatever happened next wasn't about her. It was about me and Mark. Just like it always had been. The sky outside started turning gray. That quiet moment before sunrise, where everything feels suspended. I leaned against the counter, staring out the window, remembering the last time I saw him in person. It had been about a year ago. He hugged me tight. Too tight. I remember thinking he just missed me. Now I wonder if it was guilt, or fear, or both. He had looked different. Not broken. Not desperate. Just tired. But I ignored that too. Because I didn't want to question it. I didn't want to dig. Because if I dug, I might have found something I wasn't ready to face. And now here I was, forced to face all of it at once. My phone buzzed. 7:03 a.m. I didn't even need to look. I knew it was him. But I still stared at the screen for a few seconds before picking it up. Mark. I didn't say hello. There was a pause on the other end. Just long enough for him to realize something was off. "Hey, Danny," he said, his voice exactly the same as always. Soft. Tired. Carefully controlled. That familiar tone that used to make me instantly drop my guard. Not today. "You're up early," I said flatly. Another pause. "Yeah, didn't really sleep," he he replied. I almost laughed. Of course he didn't. Neither did I. What's going on? I asked. Straight to it. No small talk. No opening. I could feel him hesitate. Just for a second. But it was there. I'm in a bit of a situation, he started. There it was. The script. The same one he'd been running for years. I closed my eyes briefly, steadying myself. Yeah, I said. What kind of situation? A sigh. Heavy. Practiced. The bank, they're pushing hard this time. I thought I could handle it, but it got worse. I clenched my jaw. Same words. Different reality. How much? I asked. I heard him exhale. Like he was relieved I skipped the resistance part. 40, he said quietly. 40,000. Just like that. Like it was normal. Like it was expected. Like I was still the same person who would say yes before even thinking. I let the silence stretch. And for the first time in 10 years, I didn't feel it. Danny, he said, a hint of unease creeping into his voice. You're good at this, I replied. Silence. What? You're really good at this, I repeated, my voice calm, too calm. The tone, the pauses, the way you make it sound like everything's about to collapse. Danny, what are you talking about? He said quickly, defensively now. I pushed off the counter, walking slowly into the living room. I talked to Lisa, I said. And just like that, everything changed. The silence on the other end wasn't confusion this time. It was exposure. Raw. Heavy. Caught. I don't know what she told you, he started. Don't, I cut him off. Just one word. Sharp. He stopped. Completely. I could hear his breathing now. Faster. Less controlled. How long? I asked. He didn't answer. How long, Mark? I repeated, louder this time. Another pause. Then finally. A while. I laughed. But there was no humor in it. A while. I said. Try 8 years. Nothing. No denial. No correction. Just silence. Which was worse? You let me believe you were drowning, I said, my voice starting to crack now despite everything. You let me think I was the only thing keeping you afloat. I didn't. You did, I snapped. Every call, every message, every time you said I don't know what I'd do without you, you meant it differently than I thought, didn't you? He exhaled sharply. I was going to tell you, he said. That made something inside me snap again. When? I demanded. After you took everything, or after you needed more? It's not like that, he said quickly. Then what is it like? I shot back. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been using me. Silence. And that silence. That was the answer. I ran my hand through my hair, pacing now. You know what the worst part is? I said quietly. He didn't respond. I would have helped you anyway, I continued. If you told me the truth, if you said you were struggling, I would have been there. I know, he whispered. Then why didn't you? I asked. And that question, that one finally broke something in him. Because I couldn't stop, he said, his voice cracking for the first time. Okay, I tried. I swear I tried, but every time I lost, I thought I could win it back. I thought I could fix it before you ever found out. I stopped pacing, closed my eyes. There was always one more game, he continued. One more chance to make it right, and every time I just dug deeper. I felt the anger shift, not disappear, just change shape. You chose that over me, I said quietly. No, he said immediately. I didn't choose it over you. Then what did you choose? I asked. He didn't answer right away, and when he finally did, his voice was barely there. I chose not to face myself. That hit harder than I expected, because it sounded real, and I hated that it did. I sank onto the couch, staring at the floor. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Years of history sitting between us. Heavy, complicated, broken. Is there anything left? I asked finally. A long pause. Then, no. I nodded slowly, even though he couldn't see me. Of course there wasn't. Because there was never enough for something like that. It just takes, and takes, and takes. I'm not sending you the money, I said. The words felt strange, heavy, final. I know, he replied. No argument, no pressure, just acceptance. And somehow, that made it worse. Because for the first time, he wasn't trying to manipulate me. He was just there, broken. You need help, I said. I know. Real help. I know. I swallowed hard. And I can't be that for you anymore. That one hurt. For both of us. I understand, he said quietly. And I believed him. That's what made it so complicated. Because even after everything, part of me still saw my brother. Not just the man who lied to me, but the kid who stood between me and the world when I was too small to fight it myself. I don't know if I can forgive you, I said honestly. I don't expect you to, he replied. Silence again. But this time it felt different. Not heavy. Just empty. Like something had finally ended. Take care of yourself, Mark, I said. You too, Danny. And then I hung up. Just like that. 10 years of lies. Ended in a few quiet seconds. I sat there for a long time after. Phone still in my hand. Not moving. Not thinking. Just existing in the aftermath. I thought I'd feel relief. Or anger. Or closure. But what I felt was something else. Grief. Not for the money. Not even for the betrayal. But for the version of him I lost. The version I kept alive in my head, long after it stopped being real. And maybe the version of myself too. The one who believed that love alone was enough to fix someone. It isn't. It never was. And as the sun finally filled the room with light, I realized something I hadn't before. Helping someone doesn't mean saving them. And sometimes, the hardest thing you can do for someone you love is stop. I didn't move for a long time after that call ended. The silence in my apartment felt different now. Not heavy like before, just empty. Like something that had been making noise in the background for years had finally been switched off, and now my mind didn't know what to do with the quiet. I placed my phone on the table carefully, almost like it mattered. Like anything still mattered. Then I leaned back and stared at the ceiling. 10 years. It kept echoing in my head. Not as a number, but as moments. Late nights. Missed chances. Small sacrifices that slowly turned into a life built around someone else's problems. And now that it was gone, I didn't know what was left. My phone buzzed again. I didn't even want to look. But I did. Lisa. I'm sorry. That's all it said. I stared at it for a few seconds, then typed back. You don't need to apologize. A pause. Then her reply came. I should have told you sooner. I thought about that. Really thought about it. And for a second, I almost agreed. But then I remembered something. No, I typed slowly. You told me when you couldn't carry it anymore. 3 dots appeared. Stayed. Then disappeared. Then came back again. He's not a bad person, she wrote. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but he wasn't always like this. I let out a quiet breath. I know, I replied. And I meant it. That was the problem. If he had been a bad person from the start, this would have been easier. Cleaner. But he wasn't. He was my brother. Which meant this whole thing wasn't just betrayal. It was loss. What are you going to do? She asked. I didn't answer right away. Because I didn't know. That was the truth. For the first time in years, my decisions didn't revolve around Mark. And that felt unfamiliar. I don't know yet, I finally replied. That's fair, she said. Then another message came. He might try again. I stared at that one longer. Yea. He probably would. Not because he was evil, but because patterns don't break overnight. Addiction doesn't disappear just because it's exposed. It claws back. It whispers. It convinces. I won't pick up, I said. My fingers hovered before I hit send. But I did. Because I needed to hear it from myself. A few minutes passed. Then, thank you for everything you did for him, she wrote. That one hit differently. Not guilt. Not pain. Just acknowledgement. and for some reason, that mattered more than I expected. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. I stood up, stretching my stiff back, and walked to the window again. The city was fully awake now. Cars moving. People walking. Life going on like nothing had changed. But something had. Inside me. A shift. A line drawn. I grabbed my keys without thinking and stepped outside. I didn't have a plan. I just needed to move. The air felt sharper than usual. Cool against my face. Grounding. I walked for a while. No destination. Just letting my feet take me wherever they wanted. And for the first time in years, my thoughts weren't about someone else. They were about me. What I wanted. What I had lost. What I still had. And slowly, something started to settle. Not peace. Not yet. But clarity. I stopped at a small coffee shop on the corner. One I'd passed 100 times but never went into. Because I was always busy. Always distracted. Always dealing with something. I stepped inside. The smell hit me first. Warm. Simple. Normal. I ordered without overthinking it and sat by the window. Watching people pass by. Living their lives. Unaware of mine. And for once, I didn't feel like I was behind. Or stuck. Or responsible for something that wasn't mine to carry. I took a sip of coffee. It was too hot. I almost smiled. Because that felt real. Hours passed like that. Quiet. Unremarkable. And yet important. Because it was the first time in a long time that my life felt like it belonged to me again. But of course, it didn't stay quiet. It never does. That night, my phone rang again. Same name. Mark. I stared at it. My chest tightened slightly. Not panic. Not anger. Just tension. Like standing at the edge of something familiar and choosing whether to step back into it. It rang. And rang. And rang. Then stopped. A few seconds later, a message came in. I know you said no, but please, I don't have anyone else. I read it once. Then again. And I felt it. That pull. That instinct. That part of me that had been trained for 10 years to respond, to fix, to help. It didn't disappear. It was still there. Strong. Loud. Convincing. You can't leave him like this. He's your brother. What if something happens to him? The thoughts came fast. Relentless. But this time, there was something else too. A new voice. Quieter. But steady. You already gave him everything. I exhaled slowly. My thumb hovered over the screen. I could reply. I could ask what happened. I could get pulled right back in. It would be so easy. That's what scared me. How easy it would be to fall back into the same cycle. I locked my phone, placed it face down on the table, and stepped away. Not dramatically, not angrily, just deliberately. Each step felt heavier than it should have. Like I was walking away from something bigger than just a message. Because I was walking away from the role I had played for a decade. The fixer, the safety net, the one who always shows up. And it hurt, more than I expected. Because saying no doesn't mean you stop caring. It just means you finally start caring about yourself too. I sat down on the couch, hands resting on my knees, breathing slowly, letting the urge pass. It didn't disappear immediately. It lingered. It tried again. But I didn't move. Minutes passed. Then more. Eventually, the noise in my head quieted. And when I finally picked up my phone again, there were no new messages, no missed calls, just silence, different from before. This silence wasn't empty. It was earned. I leaned back, closing my eyes. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something close to peace. Not perfect, not complete, but real, and somewhere deep down. I knew this wasn't the end of the story. Not for Mark, not for me. But it was the end of something important. The end of blind loyalty. The end of self-sacrifice without limits. The end of believing that love means losing yourself. And as I sat there in the quiet, I realized something I hadn't fully understood before. You can love someone deeply and still choose to let them face the consequences of their own actions. Because sometimes, that's the only chance they have left to change. The silence lasted 3 days. No calls, no messages, nothing. At first, I kept checking my phone more than I wanted to admit. Not because I wanted to respond, but because part of me expected him to try harder, to push, to find a way back in like he always did. But he didn't, and that unsettled me more than if he had, because it made me wonder what that silence meant. Was he finally accepting it? Or was something worse happening? By the 4th day, the question started to itch. Not loud, not overwhelming, just there, sitting in the back of my mind while I worked, while I ate, while I tried to live like things were normal. They weren't. You don't just walk away from 10 years and feel normal. You adjust, slowly, awkwardly, like learning how to use a part of yourself you forgot existed. That evening, I was sitting at my desk pretending to focus on work when my phone buzzed again. Lisa. This time my chest tightened. I picked it up immediately. Have you heard from him? I stared at the message, then typed back. No, why? The reply came faster than I expected. He hasn't been home. My grip on the phone tightened. What do you mean? I asked. I mean he left 3 nights ago, after your call. He said he needed air and he hasn't come back. Something cold slid through my chest. Not panic. Not yet. But close. Did he take anything? I asked. A bag, his car, that's it. I stood up without realizing it, pacing again. Same pattern. Same tension. But this time, different stakes. Have you tried calling him? I asked. Straight to voicemail. Of course. I ran a hand over my face. Part of me already knew where this was going. Or at least where it could go. And I didn't like any version of it. I'll try, I said. Please, she replied. I ended the chat and immediately scrolled to his contact. My thumb hovered for a second. Then I hit call. It rang once. Twice. Then. Voicemail. I clenched my jaw. Tried again. Same result. Again. Nothing. A familiar tension started creeping back in. That old instinct. Find him. Fix it. Do something. But this wasn't the same situation anymore. I wasn't sending money. I wasn't solving his problem. I was just looking for him. And I wasn't sure if that line would stay clear. I grabbed my keys. Didn't overthink it. Didn't plan. I just moved. Because sitting there, waiting, wasn't an option. The drive to his place felt longer than usual. Every red light irritated me. Every slow car in front of me felt like an obstacle. My mind kept jumping ahead. Worst-case scenarios. Things I didn't want to picture, but couldn't stop. When I finally pulled up, the house looked exactly the same. Quiet. Still. Too still. Lisa opened the door before I even knocked. Her face said everything. Pale. Tired. Eyes red like she hadn't slept either. You came, she said softly. I nodded. Any updates? I asked. She shook her head. No, nothing. I stepped inside. The house felt off. Not messy. Not chaotic. Just empty in a way that wasn't physical. Like something had been pulled out of it too quickly. When did you last see him? I asked. She wrapped her arms around herself, thinking. Right after your call, she said. He was quiet, different. He didn't argue, didn't yell, nothing. He just sat there for a while. I listened carefully, trying to read between the lines. He said he needed to fix things, she continued. I asked him what that meant, and he just said, I'll handle it, then he left. A knot formed in my stomach. That phrase, I'll handle it. It could mean anything, and none of the possibilities felt good. Did he say where he was going? I asked. No. I exhaled slowly, looking around the room. Does he have any places he goes when things get bad? I asked. She hesitated, then nodded slightly. There's a casino about an hour from here, she said quietly. He used to go there a lot. Of course. I closed my eyes for a brief second. Of course there was. Why didn't you tell me before? I asked, not accusing, just trying to understand. I thought he stopped, she said, her voice breaking slightly. He promised me he did. I nodded. Yeah. He promised a lot of things. All right, I said, heading toward the door again. I'm going to check. Daniel, she called softly. I turned. Be careful, she said. I gave a small nod. Not because I thought I was in danger, but because I understood what she really meant. Don't get pulled back. I stepped outside and got back in my car. The sky was already dark, streetlights flickering on. The drive felt heavier this time. Not rushed, not frantic, just waited, because I didn't know what I was going to find, or who I was going to be when I did. The casino wasn't hard to find. Bright lights, loud signs, a place designed to pull people in and keep them there. I parked and sat in the car for a moment, looking at it, thinking. This place had taken more from me than I ever realized. Not directly, but through him, through the lies, through the illusion of just one more time. I stepped out, walked inside. The noise hit me immediately. Machines, voices, music, controlled chaos, people chasing something they couldn't quite catch. I scanned the room slowly. Faces, strangers, desperation hidden behind forced excitement. And then, I saw him, sitting at a table, still, too still, stacks gone, hands empty, eyes locked on nothing. For a second, I didn't move. I just watched him, trying to reconcile the man in front of me. With the brother I remembered, they didn't look the same. Not anymore. I walked closer, each step deliberate, until I was standing right behind him. Mark. He froze, just for a second, then slowly turned his head. And when his eyes met mine, I saw it. Not manipulation, not performance, just emptiness. You shouldn't be here, he said quietly. I pulled out the chair across from him and sat down. Neither should you, I replied. A faint, humorless smile touched his face. Yeah, he said. That sounds about right. I looked at the table. Nothing left. No chips. No cards. No hope. Is this it? I asked. He followed my gaze, then nodded. This is it. Silence settled between us. But it wasn't awkward. It was honest. For the first time in a long time. I didn't come to bail you out, I said after a moment. I know, he replied. No hesitation. No expectation. Just acceptance. And somehow, that made this harder. Because this version of him was real. I came to see if you were still here, I said. He looked at me, confused. I don't mean physically, I added. Something shifted in his expression. Small, but noticeable. I don't know, he admitted. And that was the first honest answer he'd given me in years. I leaned back slightly, studying him. You said you'd handle it, I said. I thought I could, he replied. One last run, fix everything, pay it all back, make it right. I nodded slowly. The same plan, I said. He let out a breath. Yea. Silence again. Then I asked the question that had been sitting in my chest since I walked in. What happens now? He looked down at his hands, then back at me. And for the first time, there was something there. Not confidence, not lies, just truth. I hit bottom, he said quietly. I held his gaze. Then stay there, I replied. He frowned slightly. What? Stay there, I repeated. Don't run from it. Don't try to fix it in one move. Don't lie your way out of it. I leaned forward slightly. This is what it looks like, I said. This feeling, this moment, you don't get to skip it. He stared at me. Really stared. Like he was hearing me, not just listening. And if I can't, he asked. I didn't soften my answer. Then nothing changes. The words hung between us. Heavy. Real. He looked away. Swallowed hard. Then nodded. Slowly. I'm tired, Danny, he said. I know, I replied. And I did. Not just physically, but mentally. emotionally. The kind of tired that comes from running in circles for too long. You have to choose something different, I said. Not for me, not for Lisa, for you. He let out a long breath. I don't even know where to start. I stood up slowly. You start by leaving, I said. He looked up at me. Right now. He hesitated, looked around, at the lights, the noise, the pull, then back at me. And for a moment, I wasn't sure what he would choose. Then, he pushed his chair back and stood up, not confidently, not strongly, but intentionally. And that was enough. We walked out together, not talking, not rushing, just moving, step by step, away from the place that had taken everything. And as the doors closed behind us, I realized something important. This wasn't redemption. Not yet. This wasn't forgiveness. Not even close. This was just the first real step. And this time, it wasn't me dragging him forward. He was walking on his own, even if it was shaky, even if it was slow. It was his choice. And for the first time in 10 years, that made all the difference. The walk to the car felt longer than it should have. Not because of the distance, but because of what it meant. Each step Mark took beside me felt uncertain. Like he was still half inside that place, half pulled back by something invisible. I didn't rush him. Didn't say anything. Because this part, this quiet, mattered. We reached the car. I unlocked it and got in. He stood there for a second, just looking at the passenger door, like even that was a decision. Then he opened it and slid inside. The door shut. And just like that, we were in a closed space together for the first time in a year. No phone. No distance. No filters. Just us. I started the engine. Neither of us spoke. The silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was loaded. With everything we hadn't said. Everything we had avoided. Everything that finally caught up to us. I pulled out of the parking lot slowly. The casino lights faded in the rearview mirror. Bright. Tempting. Dangerous. I noticed Mark glance back once. Just once. Then he looked forward again. And didn't turn back. That mattered. More than he probably realized. Lisa's worried, I said after a few minutes. His jaw tightened slightly. I know, he replied. She hasn't heard from you. I didn't know what to say. I nodded. That was honest. I told her I'd look for you, I added. He shifted in his seat. Thanks. A simple word. But it didn't feel empty. It felt unfamiliar. Like he wasn't used to saying it without something behind it. You should call her, I said. I will. Another pause. Then he added quietly. I just didn't want to hear the disappointment. I glanced at him briefly. You think she doesn't already feel it? I asked. He flinched slightly. Not from anger. From truth. I know, he said under his breath. The road stretched ahead of us. Dark. Empty. Simple. I focused on driving. Because thinking too much right now would complicate things. And this moment didn't need complication. It needed clarity. What happens now? He asked suddenly. Same question as before, but different tone. Less lost. More grounded. I exhaled slowly. You go home, I said. You tell the truth, all of it. He let out a small, humorless laugh. All of it. All of it, I repeated. No half-stories, no edits, no softening it to make yourself look better. He looked out the window, thinking. That's not going to fix anything, he said. No, I agreed. But it's the first thing that isn't a lie. That landed. I could see it. Feel it. Because the silence that followed wasn't resistance. It was processing. And after that, he asked. I tightened my grip on the wheel slightly. After that, you deal with what you've been avoiding. Which is, he asked. I glanced at him again. You already know. He didn't respond. But he didn't need to. Because we both knew what that meant. Not money. Not debt. Him. His choices. His patterns. His addiction. You don't fix that with one decision. You don't erase it with one honest conversation. You face it. Every day. And most people don't. Because it's easier not to. We drove the rest of the way in silence, but it felt different now. Less heavy, more real. When we pulled up to the house, the lights were still on. Lisa was waiting. I could see her through the window, standing, still, like she hadn't moved in hours. Mark didn't get out immediately. His hand rested on the door handle, but he didn't push it open. "Hey," I said quietly. He looked at me. There was fear there. Real fear. Not of me. Not of consequences. But of facing what he'd done. "You don't get to run this time," I said. He swallowed hard, then nodded. "I know." He opened the door, stepped out, and walked toward the house. Each step slow, heavy, but intentional. I stayed in the car. This part wasn't mine. It couldn't be. I had done my part. Now it was his turn. I watched as the door opened. Lisa stepped forward. For a second, they just looked at each other. No words. No movement. Just everything sitting there between them. Then she spoke. I couldn't hear what she said, but I saw his shoulders drop. Not defensively. Not angrily. Just surrendering. Finally, he stepped inside, and the door closed behind him. I leaned back in my seat, exhaling slowly. It wasn't relief. Not fully. But it was something. Something close. Because for once, I hadn't stepped in to fix it. I hadn't taken control. I hadn't carried something that wasn't mine. I had shown up, and then stepped back. And that was new. I started the car, drove away. Not fast, not slow, just steady. The road felt different now. Not because anything around me had changed, but because I had. That night my phone stayed quiet. No calls, no messages. And for once, I didn't check it. I didn't wait. I didn't expect anything. I just let it be. The next morning, I woke up before my alarm. Sunlight coming through the window. Soft, calm, normal. I lay there for a minute, just breathing. And then I noticed something. That tightness in my chest, the one that had been there for years, was gone. Not completely, not forever, but lighter, like something had finally been released. My phone buzzed. I picked it up. A message from Lisa. He told me everything. I stared at it, waiting. Another message came. He didn't hide anything this time. I exhaled slowly. Good. That mattered. More than anything else right now. Then another message. He wants to get help. I closed my eyes briefly. There it was. The word that actually meant something. Not promises. Not excuses. Help. What kind? I typed back. A few seconds passed. Then, meetings, counseling, whatever it takes. I nodded to myself. That was something. Not a guarantee. Not a solution. But a start. Okay, I replied. A pause. Then she sent one more message. Thank you for bringing him back. I looked at the screen for a long moment. Then typed. I didn't bring him back, he walked out. Because that was the truth. And that truth mattered. More than anything else in this entire story. I put my phone down, got up, and walked toward the window. The world outside looked the same. But I didn't feel the same. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't carrying someone else's weight. And maybe, just maybe, that gave both of us a chance to finally stand on our own. The next few days didn't feel dramatic. No big moments. No sudden breakthroughs. Just small shifts. And somehow, those felt heavier than everything that came before. Mark didn't call me. Not once. At first, I noticed it. Then I realized that was the point. He wasn't reaching out for help. He wasn't trying to pull me back into the cycle. He was handling it. Or at least trying to. Lisa sent updates sometimes. Short messages. He went to his first meeting today. He didn't say much, but he stayed the whole time. He almost didn't go, but he did. Each message felt like a quiet step forward. Not something to celebrate loudly, but something to acknowledge. Because change doesn't come in big speeches. It shows up in uncomfortable rooms, in long silences, in choosing not to run. A week passed. Then 2. I went back to my routine. Work. Gym. Even started doing things I hadn't made time for in years. Simple things. Like meeting friends without checking my phone every 10 minutes. Like sitting through a movie without that constant background worry. Like planning something and actually looking forward to it. It felt strange. Almost wrong at first. Like I was forgetting something important. But I wasn't. I was just living. And that took some getting used to. Then one evening, my phone rang. I looked at it. Mark. My chest tightened. Not like before. Not panic. Not obligation. Just awareness. This mattered. I let it ring once. Twice. Then I picked up. Hey. His voice sounded different. Not fixed. Not perfect. But clearer. Less weight behind it. Hey, I replied. A small pause. I wasn't sure if you'd answer, he said. I leaned back slightly. I wasn't sure either, I admitted. That seemed to relax something in him. Fair, he said quietly. Silence settled between us for a moment. But it wasn't awkward. Just careful. I wanted to tell you, I've been going to meetings, he said. I know, I replied. He exhaled softly. Yeah, Lisa said she might have told you. She did. Another pause. Then he added, I didn't want you hearing it from someone else. I wanted to say it myself. That mattered. More than he probably realized. I'm glad you did, I said. I heard him shift slightly on the other end. Like he was sitting up straighter. Trying to stay grounded. I'm not fixed or anything, he continued. It's actually worse than I thought. Being there, hearing other people, it kind of forces you to see yourself clearly. I didn't interrupt. Didn't try to guide it. This wasn't my role anymore. But I'm going, he added. Even when I don't want to. That's the part that counts, I said. Yeah, he replied softly. Then silence again. But this one felt different. Like there was something else he needed to say, but didn't know how. I waited. Eventually he found it. I'm not going to ask you for anything, he said. Straightforward. Clear. I know I don't get to do that anymore. I closed my eyes briefly. That was big. Okay, I said. Not cold. Not warm. Just honest. I just wanted to say thank you, he continued. For coming that night, and for not giving me money. I almost smiled at that. You're welcome, I said. And I'm sorry, he added quickly. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know it doesn't undo what I did, but I am. I let the words sit. Didn't rush to respond. Because apologies aren't about the moment they're said. They're about what comes after. I hear you, I said finally. That was it. No instant forgiveness. No emotional resolution. Just acknowledgement. And strangely, that felt right. I'm trying to do this the right way, he said. Even if it takes time. It will, I replied. I know. Another pause. Then he asked carefully. Can we talk sometimes? There it was. Not a request for money. Not manipulation. Just connection. But even that needed boundaries now. Yeah, I said slowly. Sometimes. I could feel him relax again. Okay, he said. That's enough. And for the first time in a long time. It actually was. We talked a little longer. Nothing heavy. Nothing intense. Just normal things. Work. Weather. Random small details. It felt unfamiliar. But not bad. Just new. When the call ended, I sat there for a moment. Phone still in my hand. Thinking. Not about what he said, but about how it felt. And for the first time, talking to him didn't feel like carrying something. It felt balanced. Not equal. Not yet. But closer. Weeks turned into a month. Then 2. Progress wasn't perfect. Lisa told me he had bad days. Days where he didn't want to go to meetings. Days where he got quiet. Restless. Frustrated. But he didn't disappear. He didn't run back to the casino. At least, not that anyone knew of. And that mattered. Because change isn't about never struggling again. It's about what you do when the struggle shows up. One evening about 3 months later, I got another message from him. Not a call. Just a message. Hey, I paid off one small debt today, on my own. I stared at it, then replied, That's good. A few seconds passed. Then, it felt different. I nodded to myself. Yeah, I typed. It should. Another pause. Then, I used to think big moves were what mattered, big wins, big fixes, but this felt big. I leaned back slightly. He was starting to get it. Because it's real, I replied. Yeah, he said. It is. I put my phone down after that. Didn't overthink it. Didn't analyze it. Just let it be. And as the days kept moving forward, I realized something I hadn't expected. This wasn't a story about fixing him, or saving him, or even forgiving him completely. It was a story about separation. About two people who were once tied together in an unhealthy way. Learning how to exist without that weight. And maybe, slowly, finding a healthier version of that connection. Not the same as before. Not as easy. Not as blind. But more honest. And one night, months later, as I sat alone in my apartment, thinking about everything that had happened, I understood something clearly. For the first time, I didn't lose my brother. I lost the illusion of who I thought he was. And in its place, I got the truth. Messy, complicated, incomplete, but real. And sometimes, that's the only kind of relationship that actually has a chance to survive. Time didn't fix everything. It just gave things space to breathe. 6 months passed. Not in a dramatic blur, but in quiet, steady movement. The kind you don't notice day to day, but feel when you stop and look back. Mark stayed consistent. Not perfect, but consistent. And that mattered more than anything else. He kept going to meetings, sometimes twice a week, sometimes more. He got a part-time job first, something small, nothing impressive, but he stuck with it. Then a better one, nothing glamorous, but stable, honest, earned. Lisa told me they were still figuring things out. Some days were good, some weren't. There were arguments, long conversations, silences that lasted hours. But there was something new in all of it. Transparency. No more guessing. No more hidden layers. Just truth. Even when it was uncomfortable. Especially when it was uncomfortable. And me. I kept living my life. Not in reaction to his anymore. That was the biggest change. I stopped measuring my peace against his chaos. Stopped tying my emotions to his decisions. It wasn't easy at first. Even months later, there were moments. Small ones. Where my instinct kicked in. Where I'd see a message from him and feel that old reflex, that urge to fix, to guide, to carry. But now I noticed it. And I let it pass. Because I wasn't that person anymore. Not in that way. One evening, I got an unexpected message. Not from Mark. From Lisa. He has something he wants to say to you, in person. I read it twice. Then typed back. About what? A pause. Then. He said he won't do it over the phone. That told me everything I needed to know. I leaned back in my chair. Thinking. Part of me didn't want to go. Not out of anger. But out of caution. Things were stable now. Carefully balanced. And I didn't know what this conversation would do to that. But another part of me, the part that had been through all of this, knew avoiding it wouldn't help either. Okay, I replied. When? Tomorrow evening, she said. I agreed. The next day felt longer than usual. Work didn't distract me. Nothing really did. My mind kept circling back to it. What could he possibly need to say, in person, after all this time? An apology. We'd already crossed that bridge. A confession. I wasn't sure there was anything left I didn't already know. Or maybe something else. Something I wasn't expecting. When I pulled up to the house that evening, it felt familiar but different. Like coming back to a place that held memories you'd already made peace with. I sat in the car for a moment, then stepped out, walked to the door, knocked. Mark opened it. He looked different. Not just physically, though even that had changed. He looked healthier, more present, less like someone constantly running from something. But it was in his eyes. They were clearer, grounded, not perfect, but honest. "Hey," he said. "Hey," I replied. We stood there for a second. Not awkward, just aware. Then he stepped aside. "Come in." I walked in. Lisa gave me a small nod from the living room, then quietly stepped out, giving us space. That was intentional. This wasn't about all three of us. This was between me and him. We sat down, across from each other. Same room, same setup as months ago. But everything felt different. He took a breath, ran his hands together briefly. Nervous, which I had never seen from him before, not like this. "I've been thinking about this for a while," he started. I didn't interrupt, just listened. "Not just what happened," he continued, "but everything leading up to it, the way I lived, the way I treated people, especially you." His voice stayed steady, but there was weight behind it. "I used to think what I did was just about the money," he said. "Like if I paid it back somehow or fixed the situation, that would be enough." I leaned back slightly, watching him. "But it wasn't about the money," he added. "It was about trust, and I broke that in a way that doesn't just reset." I nodded once, slow, because that was true. "I can't undo that," he said. "I know that." Another pause. Then he looked directly at me. "But I still need to take responsibility for it, fully." I felt something shift slightly in my chest. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But recognition. This wasn't surface level anymore. "I kept track of everything," he continued. That caught my attention. "What do you mean?" I asked. He reached over to the table and picked up a folder. Set it down between us. "I went through every transfer," he said. "Every amount you sent me over the years." My eyes moved to the folder, then back to him. "And?" I asked. "And I'm going to pay you back." I let out a small breath, not surprised, but not fully expecting it either. "Mark," I started. He shook his head slightly. "Not all at once," he said quickly. "I know I can't do that, and I'm not saying this to fix things between us." He leaned forward slightly. "This isn't about earning forgiveness," he said. "This is about accountability." I held his gaze, studying him, looking for cracks, for hesitation, for anything that felt like the old patterns. But there wasn't any. Just intention. "How long?" I asked. "As long as it takes," he said. No hesitation. No sugarcoating. Just truth. I sat back, processing. Part of me wanted to say it didn't matter, that the money wasn't the point. And it wasn't. But this wasn't about the money either. It was about him choosing to face what he did, in a real, tangible way. "I'm not going to chase you for it," I said. "You won't have to," he replied. "I'm serious," I added. "If you miss a payment, if things get hard, I'm not stepping back into that role." "I know," he said. "And I won't," he added quietly. We sat in silence for a moment. Then I asked, "Why now?" He thought about that. Really thought. Then said, "Because for the first time, I'm not trying to escape what I did." That answer, that one landed deep, because it wasn't about proving something. It was about facing something. And there's a difference. I nodded slowly. "Okay," I said. That was it. No big emotional moment. No dramatic resolution. Just acceptance of where we were, of what this was, and what it wasn't. We talked a little after that. More naturally this time. Less tension. Less weight. Not gone completely, but lighter. When I left that night, something felt different again. Not like the ending. Not like closure. But like a shift. Another step. And as I drove home, I realized something simple. Trust doesn't come back all at once. It rebuilds in small, consistent moments. In actions, not words. In time, not promises. And maybe that's what this was. Not a repaired relationship. Not yet. But the beginning of one that was finally real. After that night, things didn't suddenly become close between us. There were no instant breakthroughs. No emotional reunions. Just space. But this time, it wasn't the kind of distance created by lies or avoidance. It was intentional, healthy, necessary. Mark didn't message me the next day, or the day after, and I noticed something important. I didn't expect him to. That quiet, it wasn't uncomfortable anymore. It felt right. A few days later, I checked my account. Not because I was waiting, just curiosity. There it was. A transfer. Small. Nothing compared to what had been lost. But it wasn't about the number. It was labeled. First payment. I stared at it for a while. Not smiling. Not emotional. Just absorbing it. Because that one small transaction carried more weight than every large one I had sent him over the years. This one was honest. This one cost him something real. This one meant something. I didn't text him about it. Didn't say thank you. Didn't acknowledge it directly. Because I understood something now. This wasn't about recognition. It was about consistency. And consistency doesn't need applause. It just needs to continue. Weeks passed. The payments kept coming. Always small. Always on time. Sometimes I noticed them. Sometimes I didn't. And that was progress. Because my life wasn't revolving around him anymore. It was just moving forward. One evening I was out with friends. Something I used to cancel on without thinking. Something I used to cut short because of a situation or a call. But this time I stayed. Fully present. Laughing. Relaxed. And in the middle of it, my phone buzzed. I glanced at it. Mark. For a second, everything paused. That old instinct flickered. Just briefly. Then I looked back at my friends. At the moment. At the life I had stepped back into. And I let the phone ring. Not out of avoidance. Not out of anger. But out of choice. He called once. Then stopped. A message came in. No rush. Just wanted to share something good. I read it. Then locked my phone. And went back to the conversation. Because for the first time, I didn't feel like I had to drop everything. Later that night when I got home, I opened the message. What happened? I replied. A few seconds later, he answered. Got promoted today. It's not huge, but it's something I earned. I leaned back slightly. A small smile this time. Congrats, I typed. Thanks, he replied. Then added. I almost didn't apply, didn't think I deserved it. I shook my head slightly. And? I asked. My counselor told me something, he said. That not believing I deserve good things is just another way of avoiding responsibility. That made me pause. Explain, I typed. Because if I believe I don't deserve anything, then I don't have to show up properly for anything either, he said. It's just another escape. I exhaled slowly. He was starting to see things clearly. Sounds like you're actually listening, I replied. Trying to, he said. We didn't talk much longer after that. But it was enough. Not because of what was said, but because of how it was said. No pressure. No hidden agenda. Just sharing. Months passed. Seasons changed. Life kept moving. And somewhere along the way, things between us settled into something new. We weren't as close as we used to be. Not like before. But we were real with each other. And that mattered more. One afternoon, almost a year after everything had unraveled, I got a message from Lisa. Dinner tonight, no pressure, just thought I'd invite you. I stared at it for a moment. A year ago. That invitation would have felt heavy. Loaded. Now. It felt simple. I replied, yeah, I'll come. When I arrived, things felt normal. Not staged. Not tense. Just normal. We sat down. Ate. Talked. There were pauses. Of course there were. But they weren't uncomfortable. They were just part of it. At one point, Mark looked at me and said, I hit 1 year next week. I nodded. That's big, I said. Yeah, he replied. Didn't think I'd get here. But you did, I said. He held my gaze for a second. Then nodded. I did. No dramatic moment followed. No emotional speeches. Just acknowledgement. Later that night, as I was leaving, he walked me to the door. Hey, he said. I turned. Yeah. He hesitated for a second, then said, I know things will never be like they were before. I waited. I just hope what we have now keeps getting better, he added. I looked at him. Really looked at him. Not the version from the past. Not the one who lied. Not the one I tried to save. But the one standing in front of me now. Trying. Owning his actions. Showing up. That depends on what you keep doing next, I said. He nodded. Fair. I gave a small nod back, then stepped outside, got in my car, and as I drove away, I realized something that hadn't fully clicked until that moment. Forgiveness isn't a single decision. It's a process, a quiet one, built over time, through consistency, through change, through proof, and maybe. That's what this had been all along. Not a story about betrayal, not even a story about redemption, but a story about boundaries, about growth, about two people learning, separately and together, what it actually means to care, without losing themselves in the process. And as the road stretched out ahead of me, I didn't feel the weight I used to carry. I didn't feel responsible for someone else's choices. I didn't feel pulled in directions that weren't mine. I just felt steady. And for the first time in a long time, that was more than enough. A year turned into something quieter than I expected. Not a dramatic milestone. Not a moment where everything suddenly felt healed. Just time passing with less weight attached to it. Mark hit 1 year. Then 1 year and a month. Then 2. And somewhere in that stretch, the story stopped being about what he had done and started being about what he kept doing. That's the part no one really talks about. The after, the long middle, where there's no audience, no crisis, no urgency forcing change, just choices, repeated, over and over again. And whether you stick to them when no one's watching, that's where things either fall apart or actually hold. One afternoon, I got a message from him. Not unusual anymore, but this one felt different. Can you meet? Simple. Direct. No explanation. I stared at it for a moment, not because I was hesitant, but because I could feel something behind it, something heavier than usual. Yeah, I replied. When? Now, if you can. I checked the time. Late afternoon. I had nothing urgent. Send me the location. He did. A park. Not far. I drove there without rushing. The sky was clear. Kids running around. People walking dogs. Normal life. I spotted him sitting on a bench, elbows on his knees, hands clasped, staring at the ground. That posture. I recognized it. Not from the past year. From before that. From the version of him that used to carry things alone. I walked over. Hey. He looked up. Hey. I sat beside him. Not too close. Not distant either. Just enough. We stayed quiet for a few seconds. Then he exhaled slowly. I almost didn't come, he said. Why? I asked. He shrugged slightly. Didn't know if I should handle this on my own. That word again. Handle. I tilted my head slightly. And? I asked. My sponsor told me that thinking I have to handle everything alone is exactly how I got here in the first place. I nodded once. That sounds about right. He gave a faint, tired smile. Then it faded. I messed up, he said. The words were calm, but they landed heavy. I didn't react immediately. Didn't jump in. Just let him continue. Not everything, he added quickly. I didn't gamble. I didn't go back to that. I watched him closely. But I lied, he said. That part hit. Because it wasn't about the scale. It was about the pattern. What happened? I asked. He rubbed his hands together, thinking. I got overwhelmed at work, he said. Deadlines, pressure, all of it started piling up. I stayed quiet. And instead of saying that, instead of being honest, I told my boss I had already finished something I hadn't even started. I exhaled slowly. Not dramatic, but real. And then I spent the next 2 days trying to cover it up, he continued. making excuses, shifting things around, just digging a hole. He let out a dry laugh. Felt familiar. Yeah, I could see that. What happened next? I asked. I told the truth, he said. I looked at him. Eventually. He nodded. Eventually, he repeated. There was a pause. Did it fix it? I asked. No, he said immediately. I still got in trouble, still had to deal with the consequences. I nodded. Then why are we here? I asked. He took a breath. Because the first instinct I had was to call you. That made something in my chest tighten slightly. Not anger. Not fear. Just awareness. I didn't, he added quickly. But the thought was there, strong. I didn't say anything. I realized something in that moment, he continued. Even after everything, part of me still sees you as the solution. That honesty. That level of awareness. It mattered. A lot. And that's not fair to you, he said. No, I agreed. It's not. He nodded. I didn't call, he repeated. I sat with it, talked to my sponsor instead. That's good, I said. Yeah, he replied. It is. We sat in silence for a moment. Then he looked at me again. I needed to tell you, he said. Why? I asked. Because hiding small things is how bigger things start again, he said. That was true. Painfully true. And because I don't want to rebuild something with you based on selective truth, he added. I leaned back slightly, looking out at the park, thinking. A year ago, this conversation wouldn't have happened. Not like this. Not with this level of clarity. Not with this level of ownership. You didn't gamble, I said. No. You didn't ask me for money. No. You told the truth even if it was late. Yeah. I nodded slowly. Then this isn't the same, I said. He looked at me carefully. You sure? He asked. Yeah, I replied. Because the difference isn't that you messed up. I turned slightly toward him. It's what you did after. He held my gaze, processing that. You didn't run, I continued. You didn't build a whole system of lies around it. You stopped it. He exhaled slowly, like something inside him eased. I didn't think of it like that, he said. That's because you're used to extremes, I replied. All good or all bad, that's not how this works. He nodded. Yeah, my counselor says the same thing. I almost smiled. Smart person. He let out a small laugh. Then his expression softened again. Does this change anything between us? He asked. That was the real question. I took a moment before answering. Not because I didn't know, but because I wanted to be sure. No, I said finally. He blinked slightly. Really? Yeah, I said. Because you told me. That was it. That was the difference. Trust doesn't mean perfection. It means honesty, especially when it's uncomfortable. He looked down briefly, then nodded. Okay. We sat there for a while after that, not talking much, just existing in the same space. And it didn't feel tense or fragile. It felt steady, not perfect, but stable. When we finally stood up to leave, he looked at me and said, Thanks for not walking away. I paused, then said, I did walk away from the old version of this. He absorbed that. And this, he asked. I gave a small nod. This is different. He didn't smile. Not fully. But something in his expression shifted. Understanding. Respect. Maybe even a bit of relief. We walked in opposite directions after that. No big goodbye. No dramatic ending. Just two people continuing forward. Separately. But not disconnected. And as I walked toward my car, I realized something quietly but clearly. Growth doesn't erase the past. It changes how you carry it. And for the first time, it didn't feel like a burden anymore. A few years passed after that conversation in the park. Not in a way that felt long. More like steady. Consistent. Quiet growth on both sides. Life didn't pause to highlight it. There were no checkpoints. No moments where someone said, this is where everything is finally okay. It just kept moving. And we moved with it. Mark stayed on track. Not perfectly. But honestly, there were setbacks. Not dramatic ones, but real ones. Moments where he got overwhelmed. Moments where he shut down a little. Moments where that old version of him tried to surface again. But now, it didn't take, because he didn't let it stay hidden. That was the difference. He talked. He showed up. He kept choosing differently, even when it was uncomfortable. And over time, that added up. The payments continued too. Slow. Consistent. Never missed. Until one day, they stopped. Not because he quit, but because there was nothing left to send. I didn't even realize it at first. It wasn't something I tracked anymore. Didn't need to. Didn't want to. But one evening, I opened my account and noticed something missing. No new transfer. No notification. And for a second, I thought maybe he forgot. Then I checked the records. Scrolled back. Did the math. And that's when it hit me. He had finished. Every dollar. Every sacrifice. Every piece of it. Repaid. I sat there for a while. Not reacting immediately. Because it didn't feel like a victory. Not in the way you'd expect. It felt quiet. Heavy in a different way. Like closing a chapter you had lived in for too long. My phone buzzed. Mark. Of course. I think that was the last one. I stared at the message. Then typed back. Yeah, it was. A pause. Then. I don't know what to say. I leaned back. Looking around my apartment. Thinking. Nothing, I replied. You already said it. Another pause. Then. Can I come by? I thought about it. Not long. Yea. About 30 minutes later, there was a knock on my door. I opened it. There he was. Standing there. Same face. Same person. But not the same man. Not even close. Hey, he said. Hey. He stepped inside. Looked around for a moment. Not because anything had changed, but because something had. Between us. We stood there for a second. Then he said it. I'm done. I nodded slowly. I know. Silence settled in. But it wasn't empty. It was full. Of everything that had led to this moment. I didn't think I'd get here, he admitted. I didn't think you would either, I said honestly. He let out a small breath. Fair. Then he looked at me. Really looked. I know this doesn't fix everything, he said. I know it doesn't erase anything. I didn't interrupt. But I needed to do it, he added. Not for you, not even for us, but because I couldn't keep being the person who runs from what he breaks. That line. That one stayed. Because it wasn't about proving something. It was about becoming something. I get that, I said. We moved to sit down. Same couch. Same space. Different energy. I used to think paying you back would make things right, he continued. Like it would balance everything. And? I asked. It didn't, he said. I nodded. Yea. But it did something else, he added. I waited. It made me face it, he said. Every month, every payment. I couldn't forget what I did because I was actively undoing it. That made sense. Real sense. And now? I asked. He exhaled slowly. Now I just keep going. No big speech. No dramatic goal. Just forward. And that was enough. We talked for a while after that. Not about the past. Not about the money. Just life. Normal things. And for the first time, it didn't feel like there was something unresolved sitting between us. Not because everything was fixed, but because everything was acknowledged. That night after he left, I sat alone again, like I had at the beginning. Same apartment, same quiet, but completely different feeling. Back then, the silence was heavy, full of questions. Now, it felt earned, complete. And as I sat there, thinking about everything that had happened, I realized something that tied it all together. This was never just about betrayal. It was about identity. About who he was and who he chose to become. About who I was and who I stopped being. I wasn't the fixer anymore. He wasn't the one hiding behind excuses anymore. We both changed. Separately. And because of that, we found a way to exist in each other's lives again. Not perfectly, not like before, but honestly, and maybe. That's the real ending. Not everything being fixed, not everything going back to how it was, but everything becoming real. And finally, that was enough.